It has been a long 2 weeks, let me tell you. So, I've had a lot going on recently and a lot of packed stuff when it came to the channel and my life, so I wasn't able to consistently give out the 4 nights episode reviews. Thus, episodes 9 and 10 I could not do videos on. But I'm here with episode 11, right before a 1 week break, before we fully enter episode 12, and basically the second core of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse anime. And overall, I've been very happy with what we've seen so far. I have my own real nitpicks and some criticisms of everything so far, especially in this episode. However, I ended up having a good time with whatever we've gotten, and I am even more hyped for the rest of the season. But with all that out of the way, let's get right into this review. So, episode 11 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse is the end of the Cant arc. Now, in all honesty, it was not my full-on favorite arc. It was definitely my least favorite out of all the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, and the anime still did a pretty decent job doing 3 episodes for this arc, which was around what I was expecting. We got introduced to HOWZER, who is still the Grand Master of the Holy Knights. He is Donnie's uncle, which was a nice reveal, and used to train him. And Donnie left because he felt he was too weak Holy Knight, and he became part of a circus troupe. And thus, we end up learning that Donnie's other trainee friend and HOWZER's other disciple ended up also quitting and became a leader of a group of bandits by using his illusion powers to trick a ancient dragon that he had its baby, and thus manipulate it to kind of have everybody under his thumb, and it ended up snowballing into the dragon attacking and destroying Cant. Really quick, I did kind of praise the CG and Four Knights of the Apocalypse, and I still kind of do. The dragon is kind of hit or miss. That was the one thing I was kind of iffy on. Episode 10, I think the CG for the dragon was good, but in episode 11, it was a lot more stiff in comparison to episode 10, at least for me, and it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. But it was still good for what it was, and it could have been a lot, and I mean a lot worse than what we got. But a good chunk of this first part of the episode is Percival, Donnie, An, and Eldon trying to distract and maybe even potentially fight off the dragon, as HOWZER is drunk and still inside of prison from the previous episode, since he was too drunk to fight back against a bunch of bandits, while Nazian is trying to heal a sick baby dragon. Also, Taizu's here. Remember Taizu? The guy from Seven Deadly Sins that HOWZER one-shot and then became a ref for, Gloxanian's Rolls tournament arc. Remember that? It's just nice seeing Taizu. But yeah, more or less the episode boils down to they try and fight the dragon, HOWZER gets back on his feet, beats the dragon reunites with the baby, and thus things kind of wrap up from there. The sequence that we got is actually something really nice. I liked how Sin basically scolded HOWZER for his behavior and even set the record straight that Donnie risked his life with Percival, one of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, to get the Coffin of Eternal Darkness back from a Chaos Knight, and basically almost died and risked his life to help people. And this kind of helped put HOWZER back on track for basically being head of the Holy Knights that he's supposed to be, and had Nazians remove the alcohol from his body with his magic power so that HOWZER can be at 100%. And I will say this, the walking animation of HOWZER coming out of the prison and just walking towards the dragon as he kicks up a whirlwind without even summoning an attack was badass. I do think we could have gotten a bit more saga from HOWZER, but what we got from him was definitely very good. And it showcases that HOWZER is very strong and has not been slacking these last 16 years. This episode did HOWZER some justice, and I really did enjoy what we got here. He beat the dragon with basically no effort, and also reconciled with Donnie and Alden. The dragon reunited with its baby, and everything seems to have wrapped up. Also, Percival basically became a HOWZER fanboy, a Holy Knight fanboy. I found that so funny and so wholesome at the same time. Percival steals the show at the fact that he's just the purest character in this entire series. But then with all the positivity and hopefulness that we could honestly hope for an MC in this basically war-torn world at this point, which when you really think about stuff that happens in Seven Deadly Sins, and manga fans know what happens later on in the manga with some of the stuff we know, having a character like Percival around is much needed, and I just find this kind of wholesome. Anyway, as the main cast and all the kids are talking to each other, basically laughing and talking about everything, HOWZER and Sin end up having a discussion, and HOWZER ends up getting Sin to essentially agree to send a message to the King of Leonis that he found one of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, as Sin wanted to wait until they reached Leonis, but he figured with everything that's going on right now, it would probably be best to send the message. And this is the part where I skip to later on in the episode, because this next section where Sin is sending the message to the King of Leonis is something that I both love and do not like at the exact same time, so I'll save that for the last bit of the video in the review. So we'll skip ahead towards the end, where HOWZER will agree to give the piece of the Cup of Eternal Darkness back to the group, but he tells them that as long as they have it, they will be targeted by Arthur's Knights. It has the power to change the tide of this whole war. Obviously spooking Donnie, but Percival volunteers to hold on, and this gives HOWZER the idea to take the dragon handle and actually use his blacksmithing skills that he learned from his dad at a young age to forge Percival his very own sword, and thus Percival's sword is here. And honestly, it's really cool because in Seven Deadly Sins, Meliodas had the dragon handle as a broken sword because he didn't want to hurt anybody or kill anybody with that sword, and it was good for him to use full counter as he never really got to harm anybody. And now Percival has basically what the dragon handle would have looked like as an actual sword, and it looks very, very cool, and I like it. It's a literal symbolic passing of the torch because the dragon handle was very important in Seven Deadly Sins, and now it's also still important in Four Knights of the Apocalypse. So that's something I really like. It's something that I will continue to like about this decision that Nakama made for Four Knights of the Apocalypse and for Percival. And the episode ends with the main group heading off to go towards Leonis. And now we get to the point in the video where I talk about my conflicted feelings towards this one section. So when Sin goes off away from the main group through the rubble to send a message to the King of Leonis, we see an image of Sin walking, and then we see a transition to two legs as he changes back to his human form, as we have kind of seen it from the Sastana arc. And this is anime original. This is not in the manga. This is an anime addition to the series. And we see Sin in his true form walking towards an edge, as we see his arms, his back, a bow, and the back of his head as he launches an arrow with magical energy. As we see it in a really cool sequence, fly through the air towards Leonis Castle, as we see the King of Leonis, which is obviously Meliodas, talking to the guards, saying that they're going to need to make a new menu, and he'll give the guards a free sample, as they're just like, as your majesty, I'm not sure what I have to say here, as everyone, I like how everyone knows that Meliodas' cooking is the worst in the world, even though he's a king, so that's kind of hilarious. But yeah, the arrow explodes, and basically it was a signal for Meliodas that this character, that Sin, found a Knight of Prophet. And look, spoilers right here for the identity of Sin. If you have not figured it out at this point, if you watch Grudge of Edinburgh or our manga only, or if it's just super obvious, but the anime, Sastana, and here literally spoiled the big reveal that Sin is Lancelot. Now, I know it was obvious that Sin is Lancelot, a red fox named Sin, as a kind of cocky personality, we'll say it like it is. Previous movie had someone with a bow and arrow who was Lancelot with a similar outfit. It's a whole thing. You could have pieced it two and two together fairly easily without even the image. But part of the fun when it came to reading the manga weekly was people speculating who Sin actually was. Yes, Lancelot was the obvious pick, but some people thought maybe it was Bond. Maybe he went incognito and was turned into a fox by maybe Merlin or someone. Maybe he was cursed. Maybe it was a familiar. Maybe it was an entirely new character. That was the fun of it. Even though it was obviously Lancelot, the idea that it was somebody else potentially, that it was a misdirect, made it fun. That's what made it fun for me, and it also made it nice when I was right when we got the Lancelot reveal, which, speaking of which, we had a trailer for the next part of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, and it literally part of the ending of the trailer teases the Lancelot reveal, and I do feel like that these additional scenes, while cool and gets us hyped up, kind of diminishes from the future reveal of Lancelot. And honestly, it's a really great moment in the manga that I've been looking forward to seeing in the anime. And while these additional scenes are great, it does kind of diminish it, at least for me, the future potential reveal and the build up towards. But those are just my thoughts. Overall episode was perfectly fine. I enjoyed it. HOWZER was done justice. Percival basically got the passing of the torch. Meliodas now knows that Lancelot basically found one of the Knights of Prophecy, and now we're off to Leonis. So that's essentially it for Four Knights of the Apocalypse episode 11. We are on break until 2024, the first Sunday of 2024. January 7th is when episode 12 is going to come out, and that'll be the start of the Dolph Lair arc, which is honestly a really nice arc. And after that will be Entangled Forest, a good arc as well, until finally we make it to the Leonis arc that me and other manga fans have been hyping up to high heaven. So that is something that everyone's looking forward to. But this next portion of Four Knights is going to be like a lot of great back-to-back content that manga fans have been waiting for a long time, and I cannot wait to cover it. But that's all my thoughts on the episode and my hopes for the future. What do you guys think of the episode? How do you feel about everything that happened here and in this arc in general? Are you looking forward to the future of Four Knights of the Apocalypse? Also, the Four Knights of the Apocalypse anime is coming out officially on Netflix I believe January 30th to 31st, so I think that's going to cover the first 12 to 13 episodes, most likely everything up to the Dolph Lundgren arc if we go by the usual standards for Netflix. For all we know, or here I can't. I have no clue how they're going to upload their batch releases, but that's going to be how things are. I might do like a full video just reviewing the first core as it comes out on Netflix around that time to give my overall thoughts looking back and rewatching it through Netflix. But that's basically it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Your thoughts and opinions on the episode and this current arc and everything in the anime so far and what you're looking for next. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.